Good morning and welcome to the new edition of Dr. Lamba's Awakening Call. We look up to celebrities to make statements and then lap them up. We even start quoting them. But we never examine whether these statements have any validity. Are they realistic? And so often we are so confused because we take these celebrities to be the compendium of knowledge. A film star talks of religion and politics. A politician talks of philosophy. And a business tycoon starts talking of socio-economic, political scene. And all of them, or the majority of them, live in illusory world of their imagination and their dreams, cut off from the reality, and they suffer from a terrible tunnel vision. Their peripheral vision, intellectual, is so limited. They are great in their field, I do not deny it. But when they overstep their limits or their ambit of knowledge, then they make such statements which are inane, misleading, and can be harmful simply because people look up to them, as I said earlier, role models. Imagine a business tycoon making a statement on immigration which has apparently some connection with the reality. He has possibly seen positive results. He himself possibly is a product of that, an event as such, that eventuality. And then he just considers that to be a universal fact. They have not applied their mind to the other factors apart from their own experience. I know the politicians make absolutely inane, meaningless, contradictory statements that have no validity. But then most of the people consider politicians to be buffoons. But when a business tycoon or a engineer who has risen to the top of the world and is considered a real achiever makes a statement, then I feel troubled, honestly. I'm talking about Satya Nadella, a very competent man, head of the Microsoft, Google, and whatnot. Satya, CEO of Microsoft, CEO of Google, warned the countries that fail to attract immigrants that they will lose out as global tech industry continues to grow. Absolutely agree with him. Because diversity, immigration gives a fillip. But then when he gives an instance of the growth of a country only because of immigration, then that is definitely not acceptable. As a matter of fact, he was referring to Indian latest law about giving citizenship as a sort of a political asylum to the persecuted minorities in Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Bangladesh. Nothing to do with immigration. And then he started making the statement that people only come to immigrant-friendly countries, and only those countries progress which are immigrant-friendly. Now imagine, he gave the example of $470 billion semiconductor industry that is globally connected. But then look at the reality. Who is making the biggest contribution to these industries? Not India. Let's be very clear. Not Canada. Canada is nowhere. And Canada is supposed to be the most immigrant-friendly country in the world. The happiest country in the world. The Scandinavian countries are not immigrant-friendly. Let's be very clear. They give refugees a welcome, but immigration is not that easy. Japan, most unfriendly as far as immigration is concerned. South Korea, extremely averse to immigration. And yet they are technical giants in their own right. You cannot say that the progress of Japan or South Korea or China. China is today the second largest economy in the world, a technical giant. And you might blame them for stealing or whatever, but they are there. Do you think you can immigrate to China? High hopes, big dreams. No, you cannot. So what happens is that simply because Satya Nadella came from India to USA and by hard work, capability rose to be the CEO, does not mean that every immigrant is going to have that opportunity. And let's not forget, every country is not America where the immigrants would be given preference. Even in Canada, we see that immigrants are welcome, but when a job comes, how many of them reach the top? Very limited. So when Satya Nadella was talking at Davos and he was discussing with Bloomberg news editor John McWhorter, he made the statement that if you're completely separate, you're increasing the transaction cost. Today, in the age of connectivity, whether you are sitting in Botswana or Namibia, can you not compete and participate in the growth sitting in your own country, what's happening in USA? If you say that you cannot, then you are mistaken. Nadella is worried about the development of two separate internets. But then does he not forget that these internets already exist and they'll get amplified in future with massive technology companies already in place in China? Where does immigration come in? Russia, Japan, South Korea, these are the classic examples which are technical giants and yet they do not encourage immigration. Not only that, they even do not take in political refugees the way Finland, Norway, Sweden do. Now, the viewpoint clashes with the Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates, who is absolutely skeptical about the idea that the ongoing US-Canada relations could lead to a bifurcated system of two internets. So Satya Nadella makes two statements and both are not related to the reality. China and US are two leading artificial intelligence superpowers. But there is a cooling of our relations, barring the recent agreement signed. But there has definitely been a slow going of international cooperation. But that doesn't affect the immigration. Immigration is going on. The biggest problem is that the countries have to find ways to establish global norms around cybersecurity, agreements to hack, not to hack each other's citizens, privacy, and responsible. And when the trade dynamics need people to separate, you can be sure that this political separation is not going to be an intellectual breach. We cannot say that. And then, he goes on to say further, countries that fail to attract immigrants will lose out on global technology and they will not continue to grow. And then, he confuses two things. One, he confuses that a country can progress only if the immigrants are there. And then he confuses between immigrants and illegal immigrants. Immigrants who come legally are something different. But illegal immigrants or the refugees, the enforced immigrants who have been forced either by persecution or willfully are not immigrants. The undocumented Muslim migrants from Bangladesh are more than 200 million. And what are they working at? As labor, construction jobs, and at the lowest level of society, and not even living on subsistence meals. So when he says that immigrants, and he confuses them with illegal aliens, thereby hangs a tail. He is a technical guy, a competent guy, but he is making forays into the politics and social scene without understanding the implications. And that is where he is wrong. And when Satya Nadella made this statement, all the political parties opposing CAA and Modi jumped on it saying Satya Nadella is saying that, as if what Satya Nadella says is from Oracle of Delphi. It is not. It is not. And Satya means truth. And what he was saying was, if not outright lie, at least twisting of the truth. And not willfully. I don't blame him. He was not doing so deliberately. His brain cannot comprehend the intricacies of politics and socio-political scenes. He can understand the superficialities of politics. A person who cannot differentiate between illegal alien and a legal immigrant, I don't blame him for making such statement because that shows his ignorance. But then he has rushed in that area which he should not have tried to dive in. He has made a statement which can be and which is being quoted with reason and without reason. With reason by the critics and without reason by the people who oppose. As a matter of fact, I'm all for the multidisciplinary force and the multidisciplinary attitude. You know it, I always say that you cannot divide the disciplines. But once you are an expert in that, until and unless you understand the subtle nuances, making such statements is, if not insane, at least inane. There's another guy, a Nobel Prize winner in economics, Abhijit, Dr. Abhijit, making statements which have no validity at all. When he makes a statement regarding macroeconomics and microeconomics, I can understand. But when he starts talking about politics without understanding the intricacies and the fallout of the statement, that shows his incapability to comprehend the reality. Same Satya Nadella and Abhijit are suffering from the same plight. They want to win plaudits. They want people to clap that these are the people who are the saviors of democracy, secularism, and all that bullshit. They do not understand the need to protect the country from fifth columnists who come in the shape of illegal aliens. So, we have got to see that the statements, when they come from the celebrities, are not accepted as a gospel truth. They are not accepted as evidence of unchallengeable right. The statement that the Pope can do no wrong or the king can do no wrong is not applicable in this age of reason, understanding, examination. We have to examine all these statements, find out, are they realistic? Do they have any sense, or are they only the meaningless muttering made haphazardly without any logic, without any thought? And then accept them or reject them. Do not accept the statements of the politicians at their face value. And do not accept the statements of any celebrity without question, without examination, without properly understanding the reason for making that statement that may be of no concern to them. Therein lies our sense of reason and preserve our sanity in this bedlam of inane, misleading, confusing statements. And we do it. We have to do it. And if we don't do it, then we are mindless ants, not Homo sapiens. Decide for yourself. Thank you.